My name's Richard Hunt. I'm the CEO for Turnkey, and I'd like to welcome you to Risky Business 2023. It's our third year of running this virtual conference. Really excited by a number of sessions that we've got to offer you over the next couple of days. It's been something we've been running since the pandemic, and we felt it, the feedback we got from customers and the great participation that we got from you guys out there meant that it was something we wanted to do annually. So really pleased to be welcoming you to the third edition of this event. The audience has been growing, which is great to see, and looking forward to some fantastic content from our customers, partners, and some of our team at Turnkey over the next couple of days. So with that, I do want to just say thank you to the team, our marketing team, for the effort they've put into organising this event. It's not a small task by any stretch of the imagination. We're running it globally this year with participants from all over the world across the whole Turnkey group. And we've tried to accommodate time zones across the countries that we operate from the Turnkey's perspective. And that's been a specific challenge that I set them this year that they've really risen to. So thank you to the marketing team for setting the event up. And a huge thank you to our customers and partners and the team members who are talking over the next couple of days for their participation. I really do appreciate the effort that you guys put in and the time that you take out of your busy schedules to put content together and share that with our valued customers on the call. So with that, I'm just going to give you so in terms of just introducing myself. So my name's Richard Hunt. I'm the founder and CEO of Turnkey. My background is in securing systems and IT security. I've been working in that field for over 25 years now. I started out my career at PwC as a graduate there, thrown into projects securing SAP systems at customers like the Post Office, GSK, Cadbury's, and I spent a couple of years working out in Australia as a security consultant as well before setting up Turnkey. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the origin story for Turnkey, which actually started quite a long time ago with my first experiences as an entrepreneur, really. And I've told this story to the team a few times, and they convinced me to share it with a wider audience. So I'd be grateful for the feedback and interested to hear your thoughts on whether it's a worthy story to share or not. But I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about my background as an entrepreneur, really. So this actually started when I was a child, when I was about 12 years old. I grew up in the Kent countryside with my parents and my brother, and we had a kind of small holding at the time. So we lived in a house that had a field at the back. There was about an acre of land. We had a friend's daughter had a horse in the field. We kept sheep there sometimes, which typically ended up in the freezer at the end of the summer, which was quite a harrowing experience for us as children. But you know, it was a nice environment to live in, despite the fact that it was probably over a mile to the nearest train station or bus stop. So quite rural, quite difficult to get to. But we did live next to a riding stables, which you know was a nice kind of part of the community around where we lived in the hamlet that we lived in, and it meant that there was quite a lot of people coming back and forth around the area. When I was about 12 years old, I like every other child really was kind of looking to spread my wings a little bit, looking to spend my own money and have my own freedom. And at the time I was getting about 50 pence pocket money a week, which I guess, you know, to put into context at that time in sort of, what was it, 1987, that would have meant you could probably buy 1.5 Mars bars, a couple of Mars bars maybe at that time. So obviously with inflation, it's a little bit less than it, more than it might sound. But all my friends at the time were getting about £5 a week pocket money. So I was feeling a bit disgruntled by that. And I decided to ask my dad for a raise. So I said to my dad, can I get £5 like everybody else? And he said, look, I'll think about it. I'll give it some thought overnight. So the next day I kind of asked him again. for the next week or so, it kind of went on with this cycle of me asking for a raise. And then eventually I got presented with 12 chickens. And my dad said, look, you can have a raise, but you're going to have to earn your own money. So he said, look, if you've got 12 chickens, they're going to lay about 12 eggs a day. If you put those eggs out on the road in boxes with an honesty box, the riding stables are next door. There'll be plenty of people coming past. They'll buy the eggs. They'll pay £1 a dozen for those eggs, and you'll have £7 a week pocket money, whereas your friends are only getting 5. So I thought, well, that sounds like a good idea. You know, it sounds like a bit more hard work than my friends might be putting in to get their money, but I'm going to have more than them. So I kind of, you know, set off on this journey as an entrepreneur really at 12 years old to earn my own pocket money with my egg business, basically. But I kind of thought this through a little bit and decided to save the money and reinvest it a bit. So over the course of the next few months, I collected up the money, and after about 6 months, I said to my dad, right, where can we buy some more chickens from? And he sort of looked at me and, you know, said, well, you know, we can get them from the same place. We buy them as a point of lay hens, so you pay about £3 for them, something like that at the time. So we went off to the chicken supermarket. I can't remember where it was, Orpington, I think it was. And we bought some more chickens. And that kind of cycle went on for a while, and I accumulated quite a lot of chickens. I ended up probably after the first year with maybe 30, 40 chickens, something like that. Collecting the eggs every day, looking after them, learning a lot about chickens and chicken breeding. I learned the ones that laid the most eggs. At the time, they were called high sex. I don't know if that's still the same. I learned how to make them lay more frequently. The secret was curry powder at the time, and also how to get the best coloured yolks, which is actually down to the feed that you give them. And after a while, I kind of started to get probably around £30 a week pocket money after the first year, and I'd grown the number of chickens I had. Decided I was going to buy an incubator and raise my own chicks, and that was a lot of fun. We bought an incubator. Kind of used to put the eggs in it. You know, I obviously had a cockerel with them, and eventually kind of they would hatch and you'd kind of nurture them over the first few months and then put them out into the hen house, and eventually they'd start laying eggs too. So over the couple of years, by the time I was 14, I had about 120 chickens running around everywhere. I don't think my parents had planned for quite that number of chickens everywhere. The riding stables used to give me a few complaints that there were chickens everywhere at the riding stables, etc. But I guess, you know, I was doing my bit for my own economy, as it were. And I had probably around £50, £60 a week pocket money at the time. But I did have a problem with getting rid of the eggs because by that time there were just not enough people coming past the road to past the house to collect that many eggs every week. So a friend of my dad's who worked at the pub, he went to the pub with him. He worked at Sainsbury's, and he kindly offered to collect these eggs and sell them at Sainsbury's. So I used to get a delivery of plastic boxes every Friday. And I'd have to be a lot more discerning around washing the eggs, cleaning all the muck off them, cleaning all the straw off them. They had to be similar sizes, so there were slightly different quality standards that Sainsbury's were putting to me. But every Monday, I used to get these eggs collected by my dad's friend, who was the manager at the local Sainsbury's. Bear in mind, at this time, and this probably ages me quite badly, really, but supermarkets were actually a relatively new thing in the 80s. So he used to collect these eggs and sell them at Sainsbury's, and I ended up with probably around £60 a week pocket money, something like that, which was plenty as a 14-year-old, and I used to save the money, etc. I did have a little bit of cash leakage though. My brother's pocket money source was basically my honesty box, so he used to pinch a fiver out of there every now and again, and I had a little bit of cash leakage going on within the business. And then came a slight problem that I had within the business, and the first kind of issue that the business faced, which was a fox. And this was probably my first lesson in risk management, really. What we used to find, and I used to diligently look after the hens, the way that you manage the risk of foxes, which I guess every poultry farmer would be familiar with the risk of foxes. The way you manage that is to lock the hens up every night, because typically foxes hunt at night. But you do get bold ones. Obviously, the ones in urban sort of areas are much bolder than the ones in the countryside. But you do get bold ones who'll come out in the daytime. And so we'd always had a few problems with a fox picking off a chicken here and there during the daytime. But the problem I faced was that during breeding time, a vixen, female foxes, will tend to try and create food sources for their cubs. And so they would come and kill large numbers of chickens at once. And what I found is that I got this problem during the daytime and I guess most chicken farmers would probably deal with that in a fairly brutal way, but I guess I just didn't have the gumption to sit up with a gun and deal with the fox that I had a problem with. So over the course of 6 months, I probably lost virtually all of the hens to foxes raiding the hen house, really. And I guess that was my first lesson in risk management and my first lesson in business. But I think it was the seeds of wanting to be an entrepreneur that were formed at that time that have served me well, in business ever since, really. And that was the beginnings of wanting to set Turnkey up, I guess. When I left school, I decided that whatever I was taught by my graduate program, I was going to set my own business up to do. And I left school to go to PwC. And I spent about 3 years at PwC. As I said at the beginning, right from the outset, I was securing SAP systems and working in some of the big SAP rollouts that were happening in the sort of late 90s. And I, right from the outset, I thought, well, I'm going to set up my own SAP security business when I've got enough experience. I don't think I realized quite what enough experience meant at the time, because I spent a few years at PwC, spent a couple of years working in Australia, and when I came back at only 28, I set Turnkey up with the objective of securing the world's SAP systems at the time. And I think I probably didn't fully appreciate some of the challenges of getting customers to trust a young upstart to secure their SAP systems. But wind forward nearly 20 years now, Turnkey's going to be 20 years old in January. And we have some of the biggest and largest brands as customers. And, an amazing and enviable customer base have trusted us to help them with their IT security and risk management challenges. And it's something that I'm hugely proud of in terms of the team around me that have helped me grow that business and what we've managed to achieve together. So I'm just going to briefly, a few lessons that I guess I learned from that journey and from that fox. Seeking a return on investment. So as I said, for me, the reinvestment of the money that I was making from the business was something that I set out to do at the very beginning. And I think it's quite, in terms of applying that to our customer base and the projects we work on for our customers, I think it's really important to define what you're looking for as a return from every investment you make. And even if there isn't a tangible financial return on a project, it's still important to articulate to the stakeholders of those projects what the return you're looking for is. So for example, if you're implementing an identity management solution, as we do for customers, there's a tangible return on that investment in a lot of ways. There are challenges that you're solving around the provisioning of access and the speed at which you can provision access. But you're also potentially making administration savings, etc. And you are actually going to have a financial return on those types of projects sometimes. Equally, if you're implementing GRC solutions, then the return on that investment might be a little bit less tangible, but you can still start to try and understand and quantify the risk you're avoiding and the consequences of that risk that you're avoiding, and start to build a business case around that. I guess the point is really that whatever you're doing, you need to think about the return on that in order to win your stakeholders over. I learned that strong cash flow is critical to growth. So if I'd kept spending that £7 every week, then I wouldn't have been able to buy some more chickens. So I guess, this is probably a lesson I've taken forward into Turnkey, but we have always reinvested in the business, and it's been a key aspect of growing the business that we will continue to reinvest in the business and make sure that our kind of business is as strong as it can be from a financial perspective in order to support that growth. Quality management. Now, as I say, when I took on Sainsbury's, which is kind of coming on to the next point, I suppose, from a big customer perspective, they quite rightly, as a large brand in the market, had higher standards and expectations than my B2C business, where I was selling directly to customers on the road. And I think the key to that was making sure that I understood what their expectations were, and made sure that I met them, so that we didn't get returns on from the eggs that I was shipping out, etc. And I think that we've taken that forward into Turnkey. A cornerstone of what we do within the business is focus on quality, and the standards that we set ourselves are high, and making sure that we manage quality throughout everything we do as an organization is critical to the way that we it's one of our key differentiators as a business. As I said, the big customers are the most demanding, and they should be, because I think it's they build their own reputation on the basis of their own quality standards, and if we want to work with those customers, then we need to meet those expectations and those standards. And I am fully committed to making sure that we do that for our customers. I learned that even the best risk management processes have weaknesses. I'm not sure my risk management process was the very best one. I probably needed a security guard with a shotgun. But joking apart, I think the point here is that risk management is exactly that. It's managing risk. It's not eradicating risk, and you will never reduce your risk to zero. And in most cases, reducing your risk to zero isn't the right thing to do, because actually the returns you get, or the diminishing returns you get from managing risk, mean that you have to reach a point where you have a tolerance for that risk, and that will be dependent on your organization, on the industry you operate in, etc. But the key is understanding what that tolerance is and how close you are to that, and having a full picture so that you're managing your risk effectively, and you understand the risks you're taking, and can operate within that environment safely. And then the final thing I learned was that the risk of fraud is a very real one in every business. So my little brother pinching his pocket money from my honesty box, ironically, was a kind of constant challenge for me within that business. And I think it's actually important to think about the risk of fraud in your own organizations, and recognize that risk changes over time. So the economic environment we're operating in at the moment, where people have a lot more pressure on them at home, potentially with challenges around increased mortgage payments and things like that, that increases the risk of fraud. It changes the components of that fraud triangle, and the propensity for people who you may not think would be likely fraud perpetrators to actually become desperate enough to take those kind of measures changes. So implementing zero trust policies, thinking about how you create resilience in your organization to fraud is a key factor. And I think it's quite important to challenge your appetite for those kind of risks over time, and to think through whether those risks have changed in your organization or not. So finally, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing as an organisation to help you tackle those challenges and to make the world a safer place to do business. So we've defined within our business 3 practice areas, and the intention here is that we're helping customers to manage those risks that their organisation faces end to end through the application of technology to their environments. And we do that through three well-defined practice areas. The overarching component to this is risk. It's all of the controls that you implement in your organization are responses to risk. And we as a company have a complete set of services that help you to respond to those risks through the application of technology to manage risk more effectively and more efficiently. So we have an identity and access management practice, which focuses on implementing identity solutions, implementing privileged access solutions to get the right access to the right people at the right time. We've got an application and cybersecurity practice, which focuses on securing your key business applications from both internal and external threats, and on ensuring that your organization is resilient as it can be to cyber threats through the implementation of solutions around things like social engineering, etc. And then we have an integrated risk management practice, which looks at controls and risk from a much more business perspective. Typically, the work we do in that practice reports to the CFO rather than the CISO. And our integrated risk management practice is all about ensuring that your organization understands the risks it faces, understands how to manage risk, and implements processes to define risk ownership and understand the current risk tolerance in the organization, and then implementing controls to respond to those risks, whether those be automated controls or manual controls. But we're helping organizations to capture the responses to risk that they take, and therefore prove to their external auditors and regulators the activities that they are taking, or the actions they're taking to respond to those risks. So that's a little bit about Turnkey and what we're about. And I hope the story I've shared with you around the origin story to the organization is a useful one. Just wondered if anyone has any questions. Haven't seen any. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if there's any questions coming up. Okay, I don't think I've got any questions here that I can see. Okay, cool. So just want to signpost you to a couple of the sessions that are coming up over the next couple of hours. So the next session that we have is going to be Jakob from Maersk. He's very kindly going to be talking to us about the enterprise risk management journey that Maersk have been on as an organization. And that's a very welcome session from one of our customers. And then we've also got Volker this afternoon at 1 p.m. who's going to be talking from Onapsis around how to lower the costs and effort to secure your SAP systems, in particular in a RISE environment, in that sort of more modern deployment of SAP systems. We've got a number of other customers over the next couple of days and partners supporting the event as well. So again, a huge thank you to those participants who are helping, and I hope you enjoy the content that's coming up. So finally, just a quick thank you for listening. Thank you for taking part. Hope you enjoy the next couple of days and the content we have. Please reach out to me and any members of the team to give us your feedback on the event. Let us know what you'd like to see going forwards, and any future sessions that you'd like to see on the agenda. So that's 12:15 UK time coming up for the next session. Thank you very much.